The price is definitely being suppressed. The evidence is in the Commodities and Futures Trading Commission reports. There's a guy named Theodore Butler who has been following this for years and exposing the manipulation, so my hat is off to Ted Butler. Metals leasing is something that's existed for a long time, and originally it was done for some very legitimate purposes. If a mine is having a labor dispute, or there's a mine collapse, or for some reason they're out of production, and they've already sold forward, they've got contracts to deliver metals in the future, they can fulfill those contracts and not lose those customers by leasing gold or silver from somebody that has a stockpile of gold and silver and fulfilling those contracts, and then replacing the gold or silver, paying back out of their production later on. Refineries can do the same thing. But there's been some gold and silver leasing that is for less than legitimate purposes that has been done over the past several years, where a bullion bank will lease gold from basically the government. It's probably coming from the Federal Reserve. We don't have hard evidence on any of this, but if you look at GATA.org, that's the Gold Antitrust Action Committee, so GATA.org. This is a group of commodities analysts and attorneys that have done a spectacular job of compiling a body of evidence that is just so overwhelming that any sane person that looks at it comes to the conclusion that the world's central banks have been doing this process of leasing gold and selling it into the markets to suppress the price, and that there's probably only between 40 and 60% of the gold left in these central banks, that somewhere between 40 and 60% is already in private hands. It's been sold into the markets to suppress the price. The government or the Federal Reserve or somebody with access to gold will lease it to a bullion bank, who then sells it on the open market to push the price down, and then they take the proceeds and they'll buy options or futures, and then they take the balance and invest. They used to invest in U.S. Treasuries that were paying like 5%. The lease rate was like at 1/4%, and they get to pocket the spread. So it's basically free money with no risk. Well, all these contracts have a clause in them where they can pay back in cash. So I believe that it will cause the price of silver and gold to explode one day, simply because they don't. If they had to go out and buy the gold and silver on the open market and replace it, the price would go to the moon. But even if they don't, if it's exposed that that gold and silver isn't there, that there's a whole lot less of gold and silver in the world than people thought there was, that's also going to make it explode. So it doesn't matter. They're getting caught in one of the world's most gigantic short squeezes. And one day we will see these prices just absolutely explode. And I want to be on the correct side of this, and I want to own as much physical gold and silver coins and bars as possible when this happens. If you can't touch it, you don't own it. How do you see this thing ending?
Well, of most importance, there's going to be a price explosion, gold and silver, and the people are going to make a lot of money from it.
The people that are in it.
There's almost no understanding of what this is all about, and that's why knowing what God knows is so critical, because the market's here, it's going here, and we know why.
One of the things that I've done that I don't know anybody else that's noticed this, but I download the financial statement of the United States every single year, and I keep it on my desk, and I highlight certain areas and go through it. And one of the things I noticed was there's a section for gold where they account for the gold.